All right, welcome everyone to the East Flatbush Community Partnership monthly meeting. It is August, and I'm like, oh my goodness, where did this year go? Where'd it go? So, super excited that you all are here joining us today. We're gonna get things going. We have our East Flatbush Community Partnership updates. We're gonna have a conversation today around client retention and effective follow-up. We are going to have our program updates and then closing remarks and networking. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Edlin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be giving you guys the EFCP update. Okay, our weekly newsletter, you could send any events and flyers to read@jccanewyork.org. Any events that you're interested or you would like for the community to attend, or even us providers, please just send this information to readc@jccanewyork.org. And also our monthly meeting presenters form if you're interested in even wanting to present for us in our monthly meetings. So our upcoming monthly meetings, as you guys know, we will be transitioning to hybrid. So starting from September and beyond, we will be hybrid. We will also be giving the option to attend via Zoom if you're unable to attend in person at the Willoughby location downtown.
Sorry, went too fast.
Okay, our next thing is our East Flatbush Community Resident Liaison. This aid pretty much program supports families that are facing financial difficulties. So we are providing assistance by their utility bill through gift cards. So we are assisting residents that are residing in one of the following zip codes that are listed. And also they will be receiving a gift card. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the community resident liaisons. Sorry. I'm talking about the utility bill. So we are looking into new community resident liaisons that are interested into joining our team. We do have some that already expressed interest, but it's never too late if you know anyone that are looking into wanting to help within the community and connect families and residents to assist any type of assistance, please reach out to us. We do offer a stipend of $250 for every 3 months. And also MetroCards will be provided. So if you know anyone out there that are looking to want to, volunteer with us and join us, please reach out. Our virtual open door is the second Thursday of each month. This is a meeting where we provide our families to just pretty much give them the table where they want to express what is going on within the community. So this is an opportunity we give them to express like what's going on, what do they want us to know, and just to pretty much make a change. So this is open door, second Thursday of each month. If you're a provider that are interested to wanting to speak as well, you can reach out to Cindy Reed. Also our general monthly meeting, as we just mentioned, we will be transitioning to hybrid. So starting September 26th is our next monthly meeting. So if you're interested in wanting to come in person, it will be at the Willoughby downtown office on 57 Willoughby Street. But if you're not able to make it, then you could join via Zoom. And back to what I was explaining that I made the error to. The community aid initiative is what we're pretty much is for families that are experiencing financial hardships. So we are supporting families in need during these times. Residents that resides in zip codes 11203, 11210, 11212, 11226. We will be here to offer assistance in that. We do provide a $150 gift card that we will be able to, try to pay off a portion. And we do collaborate with Catholic Charities that will be able to assist for, either the violence and anything else that they need as far as utility bill assistance. We are currently looking for community ambassadors. Anybody that you may know that are interested in wanting to, do this with us, they could reach out to us, contact Cindy or Lamecca. We are looking for community ambassadors to join the team as well. And any information or concerns, this is the EFCP website, it's flatbushpartnership.org.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Edlin.
Thank you.
Cindy, you're up.
Hello, everyone. If you don't know me, Cindy Reed here with the partnership, and I'll be presenting past events. So we had our annual summer giveaway Street Connect on August 10th in front of Clean Rights Center, located at 1205 Flatbush Avenue. We enjoyed having love and kindness, wellness services, a donation from Metro Plus, the East Flatbush Family Enrichment Center, and also, I believe, the adults education program. Table out there with us, we were giving out preloaded laundry gift cards with $63 on it, and those who did not need the use of the Clean Right gift card because they don't use that center received a detergent as well. Well, not a detergent, but detergents. So it was a great event there, and we look forward to doing it next year as well. And also want to say thank you to Council Member Rita Joseph, who provided the funding for that event as well. Okay, we also hosted, Lamecca, can you go back, or is this the next one? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, we also hosted two racial equity community response meetings on August 15th and one on August 19th. This was in collaboration with Brooklyn Level Up and the Flatbush Family Enrichment Center, helping the Commission of Racial Equity, which is CORE, get best secret community input for the priority areas that they are identifying for the government agencies. So the meetings were really good and interactive. All of the people that attended received a $20 gift card, not 15. The change happened last minute, and a two-ride Metro card. And the inputs, just what people were sharing, their comments about the priority areas as we discussed them each was really good. The discussion was very rich. So it was really fun to have those meetings. And we appreciate our partners for that. That was included. And then we also tabled at Brooklyn Levels Up Small Business Movie Night, which was hosted at the Wyckoff Farmhouse Museum. A beautiful redoing on the inside part. So this was great, where small business owners were able to come out, watch the Banker movie, which is really good if you haven't watched it, and also be able to be connected to resources that can help them in their business. They had tabling businesses out there, so there was a young man out there selling pops, someone making drinks, another lady that was selling her knitting products as well. So it was a great event. And I will also be sharing upcoming events. For August, ending on August 30th, in collaboration with the East Flatbush Family Enrichment Center, the Flatbush Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the school, Rising Ground, and Sesame Flyers, we're hosting a back-to-school resource fund day. So this is going to be an amazing day, giving out resources, connecting families to resources, also giving out school supplies. There'll be health screenings, raffle prizes. We're working on getting some great raffle prizes, food. A lot of stuff is going to be fun out there. It's nothing all of you are not used to when it comes to a back-to-school giveaway. So that will be hosted at, I believe it's 5810 Snyder Avenue, which is the church's Flatbush Seventh-day Adventist school location. I think that's it. And we thank you those who've done it so far, but please say hello in the chat, type in your name, email address, if you're a resident, and then if your organization, please share your name, email, and identify your affiliations as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. So for those of you who just joined in a little while ago, I just wanted to repeat something I shared before. So we're going to do something a little different today. We had a change in schedule. Some presenters that we had lined up were no longer able to make it today. So we wanted to have a conversation about retention with clients. Specifically, I want to describe it as from the time a family comes to our doors to get assistance to them actually successfully getting assistance. What does that process look like? So we have some guiding questions that we'd really love for everyone to engage in. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to hear what's working in different organizations and also to pull away some best practices. So I appreciate you all for being flexible and working with us. We definitely did not want to cancel this meeting. We wanted to still provide value to you all. And so with that said, I'm going to kick it off. Ellen and Cindy are going to be helping me facilitate this conversation. So let us begin. So the first set of questions, and this is all centered around understanding pressing issues for families. So we're just going to go through each question. The first one is, what are the most pressing issues currently faced by families that we serve? So this is going to be a nice, family conversation. You can feel free unmute if you want to raise your hand. That's fine too. But let's address the first question. Sebastian, I see your hand raised. What would you say are some of the most pressing issues currently faced by families we serve?
Thank you for taking my reaction, and thank you for this event. And I appreciate this open discussion. It's different, but it's wonderful because we need these ideas. We need some input to help improve the enrichment of our community. So thank you. I would like to say the first thing that comes to mind is housing. Talking to a lot of people, most recently, residents of New York City, they're concerned about migrants taking over their housing opportunity. They're concerned about why U.S. citizens and congressmen and city councils are putting all their resources behind helping them when we have our own citizens that's taxpayers and that help build this city are facing homelessness. Why is our resources and tax dollars going to making them comfortable when we're uncomfortable? So this is the concerns that I'm speaking on that I've been hearing from our citizens, from our communities, from our mothers, our sisters, our brothers. Another one is affordable housing, not just housing.
Right.
The bills is outrageous. The rent is going through the roof. And just the flip side to that is wages are still the same. The economy is through the roof. The cost of living is high, but our companies that we're working for and our providers are keeping our pays the same. And it's very stressful for us to survive in this economy that's thriving and the way it's going. So those are the three things that's very prevalent to me that I've been having conversations with about people. And the sad thing about it is that our hands are tied. We can't really do anything because they won't provide the grants, they won't increase the wages, and they won't put us first. I was always told, feed your household before you feed outside of your household. And it seems like the United States at this time in New York City is more concerned about helping the migrants than helping the people that live here. That's what I have to say about it.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much. Natasha, I am taking notes so we can kind of do a recap at the end. Thank you, Sebastian. Natasha, you like to share?
Hi, everybody. To kind of like add on to what Mr. Sebastian was speaking on, when it comes to housing, also food securities. A lot of our parents, they work jobs that they don't approve, they don't apply, when they apply for food stamp, they don't receive. And their rent is really high. So I know food security. So I see a lot of people talk about pantries and ways to get free nutritious foods into their household. And even it's bad as well as they can't wait for their kid to turn 18 just to apply for the food stamps so that they can get a $291 extra in the household. And that's going to become an issue because when they realize that these are kids that's growing out of the household that's not approved, is going to be a problem. So just bringing more resources for them to have access to food, especially healthy foods. So I know that's an issue.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Natasha. Lily, do you like to share?
Yes, sorry, the light went out in my room. So
It's okay.
so some of the things that we are noticing in Ignite Connects as an agency that works with people with disabilities is not only the lack of accessible housing for those who need ramps because of either they're seniors or they're in a wheelchair or they use a walker. Also, if they only receive SSI, they don't qualify, as the first speaker was saying. The rent is high, and it's for someone that received like less than $1,000 a month, and the apartment is 1,500. How are they gonna pay for it? And if they find an apartment that they could pay for it, then it's not accessible. That's what we are facing at the moment.
Thank you so much. I see some people also commented in the chat. I see someone said housing, we have that, employment and wages, as well as, like, there was one more, and accessible housing. Yep, so we definitely discussed those. Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment on this first question about what pressing issues families are facing? Okay. All right, great. And definitely feel free to utilize the chat. That's great. The next question is, are there specific barriers that prevent families from accessing the support they need? So now we're going to transition and talk about what barriers are presented to families as they seek assistance. Okay. Sebastian, you'd like to kick that one off?
Sure, why not? The number one problem is funding, money. Money makes the world go around. We need access to more money, more dollar, more capitals to help. I love what she said about the option of eating, about paying bills and helping with utility bills. We need more grants, not just to help with utility bills, but help those that are struggling with paying their rent. We need more grants to help those that pay the rent that's in the arrears, because a lot of us get backed up and can't pay the rent, and we're back up 2 or 3 months. We need grants to help pay off those 2 or 3 months. And we really are concerned about our citizens. We need money. We need money for clothes to send the kids to school, because if we can't afford to pay our utility bills, what about when school is coming back and kids need uniforms, kids need books, they need money to get nutrition, healthy food, not just snacks that have a lot of junk in it. We need healthy foods for our children so they can perform at their best while they are in school. And we need safety. Our communities are filled with fentanyl users and drug users, and there's no security around our community entry buildings. Unfortunately, there's a young lady I know that works in the park department. The city has cut their funding. Now there's one girl working in the whole park, no security, no weapon, no mace, no walkie-talkie, no backup assistance, and you have guys in the park smoking crack, fentanyl, taking their pants off, running around butt naked, and there's only one female in the park because the city has cut the funding for the budget to hire people in the parks. And this is terrible, because what happens if something happened to this young lady?
Yeah. Wow.
So those are other concerns. We need
Thank
funding.
you. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else would like to share about the barriers?
I was gonna make a
Thank you.
I would also say, lack of awareness and lack of language and communication. There's a lot of people, that's not American and immigrants, and language is a big barrier that could culturally competent services and hinder access to other needs. Also, I feel like that connects in connection with not being able to know available resources. There's a lot of resources around, but a lot of people does not know how to, get to that resource. So, or aware of it. So I feel like those are other barriers.
Thanks, Evelyn. Appreciate that. And I don't want to mispronounce your name. Is it pronounced Aziz?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, great. I got it right. What'd you like to share?
Yeah, I'm basically going to echo a lot of what's already been said. I work at the Kings Against Violence Initiative, a youth development organization in Central Brooklyn. And as the community liaison, what we typically hear really focuses around housing, like not, our folks not being able to find adequate housing, especially emergency housing. So those are some of the things, but on the other side of just gathering that information, what we've also seen is that there is a lack of, I'm not sure who the last person was speaking, but it was expressed that the ways that we communicate some of the needs also, I think, affects the way that we're able to receive the proper funding, and so working to make sure that the communication fits the bill is one of those things that I think we need to work on. As an immigrant, a migrant, so I think it's interesting to also hear when we say, that the old immigrants feel like the new immigrants are kind of like taking over. I think we have to figure out a way to communicate that doesn't make it feel as though we're pitting one group against another, right? There has to be a way that we as an organization talk about these issues that does not segregate these two different quote unquote communities, because essentially if they're in New York City, they're one community and we have to find ways to address both of the needs. And so, yeah, so I'm just going to leave that there. So thank you for the space.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that. Someone brought up another point, Siobhan in the chat. Siobhan said, qualifying for services, if you make $1 over the federal guidelines, you will not receive assistance. Thank you, Siobhan, for sharing that. Okay, so we've discussed some pressing issues. We've discussed housing, food insecurities, accessibility, and we've also discussed some barriers, funding, safety. Now we want to transition and talk about how do these impact families? How do these issues impact the lives of the families that we are working with to help them engage with services? Any feedback on that?
I actually want to say something. I'm speaking as a pedestrian right now, not as who I am at work.
Yes.
This situation that we're talking about right now, it hits really close to home because I literally just sent my daughter off to college, and because of income, I don't qualify for any financial aid. They offered my daughter work study. Are you kidding me? What about the tuition? I have been contributing to the pot since I was 13 years old, illegally, because my mother changed my birth certificate so I could work. And you mean to tell me when I do need the assistance, you're going to tell me no? But the person sitting next to my child is going to get a nice free ride? We have to do something. I think it starts at a lower level. Everyone's excited about the presidential election. I'm not. I'm more concerned about who's my city council member, who is the mayor, who's going to be the senator, the assemblyman. Those offices there have such an impact on how the community is affected directly. And we need to start getting our voices heard by these folks before they become the puppets. Because it sounds nice when they get in this office, all these promises and loan forgiveness and closing the borders, but then when they get there, they show us who they really are and keep giving money to Big Farm. I'm over it. I try to get involved as much as I can in the community because we need help. That middle income program families are struggling.
Yes.
And I'm tired of everything being on our backs. And you don't get any assistance. They're going to tell you to get out of here. Maybe have 3 or 4 more children, then maybe you could get something. But that's just not wise. I can't afford to have more kids. But so that was my rant. Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome. We appreciate everything you shared. Thank you so much. So I'm going to chime back in and go back to the chat. Someone said, Jackie said, I agree. We need to direct funding, frustrations at the right place. Thank you, Jackie. Bernard said, the words from the top don't trickle down the way they are conveyed to us from the government, which strip the people of rights and the negotiations with us to get restricted versions of our way of life back while inflation continues to rise, but income doesn't I'm missing the last part. It says income doesn't childcare as well. So Bernard, if you want to chime in, I don't feel like I'm doing justice to what you stated in the chat. Feel free to unmute, and if you want to speak, if you can, that would be great. Bernard went on to say these issues hurt families spend less time with each other. It makes interactions volatile, and people are walking around with more anxiety and worried about the unknown. Yep, I agree. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you. Very insightful. Anyone else would like to share about how these issues are impacting families?
I just want to add to what's kind of been said already. Basically, it's just caused a lot of stress and instability for the family. When families are focused on securing stable housing or facing the threat of eviction, their ability to engage with services is compromised. And the stress or time required to address the housing needs can lead to missed appointments, reduced participation in the program, and just difficulty maintaining consistent contact. I've experienced with someone going to the hospital just because their pressure too high, just from the stress of possibly being evicted, right? Being in somewhere you've been there for 20 plus years, and now you're going to be losing your home and you don't know where you can go because you can't afford anywhere else. So that stress is really, really big on families.
Yeah. Thank you. Venus, would you like to share?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Cindy said about just maybe just like the elders of like the communities engaging in a lot of stress. I was talking to the Bushwick CPP, and one of the things that were being discussed was I guess the boom in technology and how now things are definitely changing, and that's another barrier within families. Elder folks are having to use technology that they don't really know how to use, and sometimes their health can be neglected because of communicating through mail or in person for such a long time. Now having to switch into a different language of technology can also be a barrier as well. And I just think stress overall on the communities have definitely been the impact on just the issues and the lack of quality services. I feel like in Central Brooklyn, there is a resource desert. When you go to like East New York, Brownsville, and even some parts of Bed-Stuy, there is a lack of quality resources. And when you get to the other areas of Brooklyn, and even downtown Brooklyn, that's where you get those resources. And even like Canarsie, right? Like it's a transportation issue. Those folks over there have been expressing that there needs to be another source of transportation, Coney Island. So it's just a lot of things that definitely impact the communities. And another thing that's been arising in the community boards, I'm not sure if this is a land trust issue, but people that have been living in the community for 30, 40 years are now being displaced by big corporations. And now there's been like a lot of divides in certain community boards, like in Crown Heights, where you have, the City of Yes plan, and there's just been such a lot of confusion on that and about like, is my home going to be taken away? Is there going to be like a bar next door in my apartment? So I think there's just a lack of transparency between the political sphere and the, community. So, yeah, that's just like my 2 cents, but thank you for the space.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate you. All right, we're going to transition to the next phase of this conversation. Cindy is going to facilitate this part.
Okay, so following the same format, but we're going to be basically touching on analyzing the effectiveness of assistance. So the first question for that, and all of those who've provided input so far, thank you. And we encourage those who've been silent so far, speak up. Anyway, are families getting the assistance they need? If not, where are the gaps? Now, this may seem like we're repeating, but it's not. So again, are families getting the assistance they need? If not,
Lily, I see your hand raised.
Yes, the speaker that spoke regarding her daughter going to college, I have the same issue again with with some families because of whatever income, even if they go $1 over, they don't qualify. And we have families that do need the assistance, whether they're trying to apply for food stamps because they have someone with an intellectual disability, but because they make over $1, they are automatically disqualified. And there's not much we can do, unfortunately. So it's the same also, like she was saying, you know, when parents are trying to send their kid to college and they don't qualify as well.
Thank you, Lily.
Oh,
Aziz, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, to answer the question, our family can the assistance they need. I think sometimes what we've seen is that families who do get the assistance sometimes are not getting the level of assistance necessarily, right? I've recently just taken a course with DYTD called the FDC, the Family Development Credential. And as someone who just also graduated the School of Social Work, one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of families are getting a lot of things done for them, which is removing their autonomy and their ability to actually go through the process by themselves. And what we've seen is once either, let's say, you know, God forbid, one of those organizations lose funding and they no longer have the level of personnel to keep up, these families begin to struggle in a way that they haven't been struggling before because they haven't learned how to actually go through the process and the application of whatever it is they're trying to complete. And so they may be getting services, but is it the service that they need or is it service that they want? And then on top of that, if we're talking about personnel, sometimes we find that the wait times are just so extreme that the service that they actually need, by the time they get it, is no longer needed because they just can't get to the right person at the right time, right? And obviously we can go back to funding for this, but for me, before I talk funding, I always like to say, what is the strategic plan for what the funding is going to be used for to make sure that the services needed for our families and communities are actually being utilized appropriately?
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing that. That's a big one. Sorry, Lameka. I just want to add on to that. I think just adding to that, coordination and communication among services. Many families challenging navigating the complex network of services available to them due to poor coordination, communication between agencies, communication between agencies. I repeated that one because that's a big one for me. This can lead to confusion, missed opportunities for assistance, and families just falling through the cracks, too many, because they're unaware of or unable to access the full range of services they qualify for. Anyone else would like to share? Okay, just moving on. I just want to drop two more things to sport to me. I think two other gaps that cause some issues here is the quality of education and educational support. And then another one is comprehensive healthcare and mental health services. So I won't go into how deep those are for me, but those two are pretty important. But moving on to question number 2, is the challenge of client retention due to the agency's practices, the client situation, or external factors? Could it be a combination?
I'll answer that. I definitely think it's a combination. I'll give an example with my personal organization here. I just been working here about 2 years now, but some of the practices are so archaic. I'm like, no one uses that anymore. So trying to get people to step up to where we're at in 2024 can be troublesome. change is scary for some folks who have been at a job since they were 18. So trying to get them to start thinking forward thinking or new age can be difficult. But then also sometimes our students are not the best at complying or being told that they need to be there at a certain time, and it's like, well, I'm only 30 minutes late, and you're like, well, you're late. So I think it's a combination of both external factors and the practices of the agencies.
Cindy, can you repeat the question?
Sure thing. Is the challenge of client retention due to the agency's practices, the client's situation, or external factors? Could it be a combination?
For us, I would say is because the client situation, they might not be able to do application, or we have a lot of people that are not good with technology, so they need a lot of assistance. So that's what we have, and it could also be like the last speaker said, a combination. But for my program, it's more people needing assistance because they don't know how to either upload documents, they have issues with technology.
Mhm.
I'll just add to that. I think forgot who said it first, but I think it's a factor of a lot of things. But I think also the client situation may be a big one, because a lot of times it's not only one issue that the family is dealing with. There's multiple things going on that can basically affect the client's retention. And not all the time, all of those things are being addressed when they're seeking help. So that can just cause, just hard to stay in touch with the client. And then oftentimes, as either caseworkers or whoever I'm working with, the clients are limited on how long they can continue to follow up with the client. I've seen where you've done calls, texts, emails, all of it, or even a letter home, and it wasn't enough to re-engage the client. But sometimes they're just going through a lot, that those, even though you send all those signals, it's not received.
Mhm.
So for us, it's constantly, Sydney, we continue to keep in contact with the client. So the clients, once they go through the first intake with us, the same counselor keeps in touch with them, and the client keeps calling or texting the counselor for help, or whether it's for benefits or any questions that they don't understand.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and just also add that a lot of these organizations and agencies are also heavily underfunded, understaffed, and I think that can affect the quality of services that they give to the clients as well, which can be correlated to the retention of those clients, right? Like they're not experiencing quality services because of those factors. That client may not feel like there's hope, or there's a chance when they go to these agencies. I know for me, our agency is very, it has been historically very underfunded. So, sometimes, well, a lot of times that can affect the investigations, because there's not a lot of investigators to investigate these misconduct complaints. And then I think just also too, there has to be communication from that client as well. Sometimes people don't have computers at home. I grew up where I didn't have a computer at my home. So having to be versatile in communicating with the organizations or resources that I had to communicate with was pretty hard. So I think these communities are just deserted overall, which can also be the gap, and can also be, it's also part of the medical realm as well. Just going back to just how everything is so digitized, and People are not even getting like letters on about their health anymore. You have to go through a portal, and sometimes those portals are very hard to navigate. So I feel like the bigger issue is like, how can we have thorough communication between the clients and the organizations, and in ways that can, I guess, like satisfy the complexities of what the community is made of. So
Thank you. Is there anyone else want to share? You can just jump in, unmute.
Yes, I'd like to share something. This is Sebastian. I was on a podcast with Dr. Gregory the other day, and Dr. Gregory was in a meeting, and he said that while in this meeting, the big movers and shakers said something that was bone chilling to him. He said that they said Black people, we're not doing nothing for. He said the problem with Black people is that they think we think about them. He said we don't think about them. We think about our kids, our wives, our schools, our wealth, our clothes, our living conditions. And that brings to mind right now to where we at. We're talking about all the conditions that affect Black and brown people. So what comes to mind is I can't wait to see the day where our community leaders, our directors, our managers can collaboratively get together without the ego of someone's trying to take their position, or someone's trying to take their job, or they're advancing over the next person, and get together honestly, put some petitions together, go to our city councils, go to our borough presidents for the people that can help us, because one voice is not going to scream loud enough. But if we can all put our partnerships together, our directors, our managers, and collectively, collaboratively come together, then we can get something done. I can't wait to see that day. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. There's one more hand still left held up. Did you speak already, or are you her hand is still up to speak again? Okay. All right. So we're going to move to the next question, which is reviewing the follow-up practices. What works well and what could be improved? I'll just add to that. It's something I've been pondering on, and I haven't gotten a chance to share with Lameka and the team yet. But I would love to see the partnership to have some kind of system in play to gather up our testimonies, right? Oftentimes at the end of the year, we're trying to reach out to clients that we've worked with, trying to get their testimonies. But how we can do that, we have Unite Us that we use when it comes to basically documenting our cases. But if there's some kind of follow-up after the client has gotten their assistance and the client, oh, thank you for helping me, how can we get that kind of data on paper in either in a short survey that the resident fills out after providing some quick statement? I think it will help with just sharing like some of the stories that has happened and people where we could share more with families that how families had got help, and seeing that I've seen it very helpful where programs have it in play where they have someone on staff that has like that lived experience that can share that with people. That just helps people to be more comfortable in sharing and getting help and stuff like that. So I think it would be helpful in that with just continuing following up with clients after they just getting help. Oftentimes the conversation ends there, but how we can just follow them, like, this was great. How are you? Just following up with them and saying, how did that help you, after? But anybody, I saw a couple of hands go up, but they went down. Anthony, yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I missed you all. Just wanted to let you know the summer, our kids are back. So that's why I am back from summer camp. I represent, for those who don't know. I was just thinking, Cindy, what you might do, what I do with regard to collecting, I do video testimonials for families who have attended the Fresh Air Fund or they've gone themselves. But I can give you more details on how to do it and share with you what I get. But the power of it is that it's spontaneous and it's quick. It's not like they have to write something down or that they have to think it like, well, what am I going to say? Is my writing up to suit? It's in the moment and it's also of the heart. And in your case, if the person doing it is uncomfortable doing a video, meaning the person asking for it, you might then just take a note and say, I want you to express what our agency, how they've helped you. Is there anything that stands out that was really important to you that worked out? And then they'll start to think and they'll speak from their heart. Well, I was having difficulty getting my food stamps, but Mr. Parker made a phone call that afternoon. I had them. That simple, that short, that's beautiful. But what you'll notice for yourself, it'll be a morale booster for yourself and your team because it's an affirmation of the good work that you're doing, but also it's providing a written testimonial of the service that you do. And then over time, you can compile that data and you'll have a volume, to really share that people can see. And it's all real and it's authentic. It's not overthought. It's not overpriced. It's not high tech. It's just from the heart. And you'll be touched. You'll be really amazed. What I found, I've done this for like maybe 5-6 years now. And what I'm most amazed about is that people love to celebrate their successes, but they're never asked about them, particularly in the work of social service. We're dealing with heavy issues. Well, this didn't get done, that didn't get done. But just to take one moment of reflection and say, that did work out. It not only serves your agency, but it also serves that person to remind them of what they've accomplished.
Mhm.
Thank you. Lily, I saw your hand up earlier and you just put it down. I hope you still want to share what you wanted to say.
Sure. Like he was saying, we also do success stories. So like the counselor, after they finish helping the person, they write a quick story about what they assisted with, and it's shared during our staff meetings with other staff. You don't have to put the name of the person, it could be anonymous. But obviously the counselor that didn't know who they helped. Sometimes also doing our annual report that our executive director have asked for stories, and we have reached out to clients asking them if it is okay if they want their name or a photo taking. So that might be another way where you could share with your team your success. Besides video, maybe you can post it and you can share it during your staff meetings, or you could share it by newsletters, how you've been helping.
Thank you, Lily. I just wanted to add another practice I think that works pretty well for the partnership, especially after it was open to all of staff members, is us having a agency cell. I know this is not something that everyone has access to, but being able to text the families you work with work pretty well. When it comes to follow-up practices, I give example. So when we've called people that maybe have a language barrier, say they speak Spanish, or something like that. I've called saying hello, and immediately, they're saying only Spanish, and then there's no more in the conversation. So sometimes we'll text them using Google Translation. Hi, just following up with you based on your need for this, because they completed the referral form, right? Please give me a call if you're still interested in this services. And we've also get translation, but I've seen some people, well, they'll call back and speak in full English with me and no longer need that translation. Now, I don't laugh on the phone when they call back, but I do laugh on the inside. Just saying, okay, and I understand it, but it helps a lot just having a cell phone and being able to text them and communicate, even when we don't get them, just to say, hey, you missed this call, but we're calling to follow up with you on your community aid application for utility assistance. Please call at your earliest convenience. And oftentimes get a call back when you do that. Get callbacks more with a text versus a message, a voice message, leaving on the phone. So that's a big practice I think works. And I know not all programs have the funding to provide all of their staff that, but I think it's a big help. Even communicating with caseworkers, texting too. Does anybody have any else they want to add to this question before moving on?
I just wanted to add, this goes back actually to one of the barriers, but I'll tie it into how it can be one of the best practices. You spoke of communicating with people in a second language. Whenever possible, I encourage agencies to do that whenever it's feasible, whenever it's possible, because as a Spanish speaker, as I speak several different languages, I realize that person who, when you speak to them in their native tongue, you are welcoming them. You are earning respect and trust, but most importantly, you're acknowledging them. So we have to move away from, as agencies, this English focused orientation, because it's not very respectful if you are providing a social service. So that's really important. And to do it when you do the text, that's even more beautiful, because that means that you went out of your way to think about me, just to remind me of what you want. And I tie this to barriers that we often don't mirror what we want our clients to execute. We want them to do things that we don't do. Did we follow up when we said we would? Did we send it out? Did we resolve their problem? Did we explain that we're unable to resolve their problem? So all of those things, I think, are best practices. And the language part is very strong. It's important. It means a lot to a person when you speak to them in their native tongue, or, you translate it.
Thank you. Omeka, we're going to wrap it up and move into the second one. Thank you so much for everyone's input.
Thank you, Cindy. Edlin, you're up next.
Okay, so we will be discussing and identifying additional support needs. Oh, this is one of the questions, and it says, what additional assistance do families need that is currently not being provided? My other assistance besides,
Yeah, I think we need more. We need to find a way to give them more easier access to mental health care and substance abuse care, therapeutic care, psychological, sociological access, without the difficulty of the red tape, without the difficulty of the financial barrier that's between them. It's so hard to get access to mental health care and substance abuse care, access to SERPA's peer support specialists. If there can be a way to provide them services without being so hard, open up a platform where we can have an open discussion and conversation first on reducing the stigma of having these conversations, because that's still a barrier in our communities. People don't want to talk about their mental health or their substance abuse challenges because of the stigma associated with their friends and some families. So I think if we can provide a platform to have those open conversations, it can open another door to give more easier access to mental health care and substance abuse care.
Yeah, I think that is one of the aspects that is important right now, especially during the times that we are in right now. COVID, a lot of things that happen over the time, and just even everything else that's being intersected with this, like people needing support, assistance in housing, and all of that could be a stressor, which could cause some mental health challenges that goes untreated. So I do feel like more accessible mental health services could be beneficial for a lot of people as well. Anyone else? If anything I'd like to add, I'll probably say I know a lot of people that's struggling with childcare. So I do feel like affordable childcare is, many families struggle to find, high quality childcare. So childcare options could help parents, balance work and family life. A lot of people are struggling with that, or finding jobs just to work from home to have, some type of income coming in, or struggling with childcare. So I do feel like affordable childcare could be, one assistance that is currently not being either provided or needs to be focused on.
I actually wanted to add something to the BEOC. We offer the Rosetta Stone for free So those of us who are monolingual and are seeing that our jobs are disappearing because we need a bilingual, trilingual, quadlingual workforce, and you don't want to miss out on those opportunities, you can come on down. You can, as long as you are New York State resident, you can get the Rosetta Stone and you can log on at the comfort of your home and practice. I'm taking 2 languages myself because I need to keep my Black job. Because I wasn't born in a household that I can learn another language, and the competition is out there, and in order to keep employment, you are going to have to catch up. So one free resource, the Rosetta Stone, the BEOC Attain Lab. I put the information inside of the chat.
Last thing I'd like to add, I think what we need is access to educational programs discussing the importance of wealth. And why I say discussing the importance of wealth, everything that we're talking about is relying on other people, other organizations to give us a hand up or a handout. When we have conversations about the importance of wealth and stress to our families, wealth determines what communities you're going to live in. Your communities determine what educational schools your children is going to go to. The schools determine the level of higher education your children is going to get. That level of higher education determines what your grandchildren will get, and it becomes perpetual. So if you don't have wealth, you're going to be in the poorest communities getting the poorest education, and that's perpetual to our grandkids as well. If we have educational courses on the importance of wealth and how to keep wealth, then our generations to come will be wealthy instead of depending on other people to do for us when we can do for ourselves.
Yes, that was a good one, Sebastian. Anyone else before I move on to the next question?
I just want to add lastly to that. I think one big thing, I kind of mentioned it earlier, that the families are, going through a lot of stress, and to combat that, culturally competent mental health services is needed. I feel our families are under a lot of stress, mental stress, either having a mental, some kind of disorder, or just in general, it may not even have to identify, but just the stress in general is overwhelming. And to like I said, to combat that, we need good, culturally competent mental health services to combat those
things. Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Cindy.
I totally agree. I think that's sometimes like the difference between being able to move through that hardship that family is going through, and then eventually ending up in a space where we can start. Because I think it's interesting when we start talking about generational wealth. I got to be honest with you. I'm like, and I'll talk about myself only for a minute. I can't even begin to have a conversation about generational wealth when I'm still trying to move through my loans. Hello, everyone. Well, yeah. Sorry, give me a second.
I could jump in from there regarding the mental quality care and culturally competent. We did an event in Harlem, and I think the adjacent conversations around mental health, like the outlets that people can tap into, I think the community needs more of. We did an event in Harlem, and they had like a meditation, and that was like, you don't really see that too often. You start to see it in yoga and just like therapeutic spaces for them to utilize while they're on the road to finding, the services that they need. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, everyone. So, we will be moving on to the next question. Everyone just gave some great feedback. So the next, I just unmuted. So the next question is, how can the agency better support families in overcoming barriers to engagement? It just But with this question, it seemed like it was pretty much similar to what everyone was saying, which is cultural competency. So in my take, I do feel like, agencies need to recognize that a lot of families come from different backgrounds. So I feel like a lot of people need to either be trained into knowing on how to address, families that from different cultural backgrounds. So, and knowing how to communicate as well. Anyone else would like to jump in?
I'll jump in. One of the things that we do here at the BEOC is helping students achieve self-actualization. Is one thing when you just tell them like, okay, you need to pay your bills on time. Oh no, maybe you shouldn't buy the Jordans and you should buy the New Balance because it's just cheaper. So it's helping them along the way to realize that, oh, sweat, this is a priority, as opposed to just telling them. That's going to last so much longer when they realize it themselves. And then holding them accountable. Accountability is huge. No one likes to be held accountable anymore. So we want to make sure that we're teaching our students how to do that here, and also bringing those tools home to their children's children, so that we don't have a whole generation that is struggling to read. I was just listening to the news this morning and I'm like, what? These numbers are terrible. Like, what are they talking about? So it's also not just helping the student that is coming to us, because we teach different programs, but it's also about helping that family so they can start setting some healthy traditions in their household.
Thank you for that, Siobhan. Anyone, I see Karen, you have your hands up.
Yeah, the agencies can better support families by educating themselves outside the boundaries of the dictation of their program. In essence, I'm saying do no harm, right? So we have some people whose milestones to get paid because they get somebody a job. Well, that job has now made that person homeless, right? So at least tell the truth to the person so they can make an educated decision, and I think everybody's trying to do the best they can, but it's just creating this whole mess because you're not telling the truth. Just tell the person, look, I understand that $20 sounds better than $19, but if you take the $20 job, you will lose your apartment. Like and I know that our programs have restrictions. Some restrictions can't say that, but there should be a place like a place where people can go and get the real, kind of thing, other than the street, which is also not true.
Yes, just to piggyback to what you said, I get what you're saying. So it's like pretty much to simplify the processes, make certain procedures, things as simple as possible, because, that could be one of the systems that could reduce barriers for families as well. Just pretty much, making things easier instead of more complex when it is already more complex. Anyone else? Okay, so I will be moving on to the last question. What resources, partnerships, and new approaches could be implemented?
I think if we can get it.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
Okay, Anthony, you can go before me. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the answer to the question of what new approaches can you have, I would say send all of your children, all of the children in your programs to the Fresh Air Fund. That will solve a myriad of problems. It'll give the parents a break. The children will be exposed to new exciting things, learn of other different cultural experiences, make friendships that could last a lifetime. And I say that jokingly, but I also say it very seriously. That is one way of helping the family, to give the parent give a break, but also to give the child a break where they get to simply be children in a sleepaway summer camp program. And we do have year-round programming, by the way, that once they come into the program in the summer through any of the programs, they then will have access to some of the year-round programs that we run.
Thank you, Anthony. Sebastian.
Now I feel like a used car salesman, but that's not true. That's not what the Fresh Air Fund is. It's true that it can help your kids.
Touche, Anthony. Touche. I was thinking about an attorney for our nonprofit organizations. If we can get some attorneys to address those barriers and change laws, and then we won't have those barriers. The only way laws are made is that if we address them. We addressed a lot of problems here today, and those problems are the barriers that preventing us from doing the things that we like to do effectively. How about if we get our attorneys to put some cases in the court, and then we can knock those barriers down? And then we can have more access to the things that we think. I'm just thinking out loud. What about attorneys?
Thank you, Sebastian. Karen?
Yeah, I would, again, I'm back with my new do no harm soapbox, right? Know what happens next, right? So when you say the partnership, so Anthony did a great example of it. If your child goes to the summer camp, it's not just at the summer, because you sit there and now you're like, what now? Right? That created more of a problem because you don't know what to do after that. So know what comes after your program. Like if your person, is getting training, know where they can go to get a job, know what comes afterwards, and those partnerships and resources. That's why I know Anthony so well, is because we connected. I'm his after, right? So when you meet somebody, where do they fit along the continuum of servicing your customer, right? So that's how the new approach is. Everybody fits somewhere, but where do they fit in the continuum? And find the one that comes before you and find the one that comes after you, so that you can really service your customers to the fullest extent.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for that one. Does anyone else would like to share what other resource or partnerships or new approaches that you think could be implemented? Okay, if not, thank you everyone for participating, your feedback. Like we mentioned, this was, our presenters were not there today, but I feel like this was very beneficial and something that we all needed to learn together. Mecca, back to you.
Thanks, Edlin. Thanks, everyone. I am so grateful for the rich conversation we just had. I just want to highlight a couple things. I was taking notes as we were speaking. So some of the things that came up was conversations about housing, specifically affordable housing, food insecurity, accessibility. Some of the barriers are just funding. We heard that resounding gong. We need more funding. We need more funding. We also need more staffing for these nonprofit organizations that are here to serve, who really can't do so effectively without proper staff. We also touched on something that I didn't really think about coming into this conversation, but it's so true. I actually, unfortunately, think it's by design that so many families are experiencing stress. And so the reason why I say I think it's by design is because when you get a group of people who collectively are always thinking about how am I going to make ends meet, they can't think about achieving their goals. They can't think about excelling. They're just stuck in that moment. And I personally think that's by design. I won't elaborate on it. You can, reach out to me afterwards if you'd like to hear more. But I think that's an important thing to mention because, when we're helping someone who is stressed, we know what it's like because sometimes it's difficult for them to even be able to hear the next steps because they're experiencing so much emotionally. So I just wanted to put a pin there. We also talked about some ways that we can work on getting testimonials to hear those good stories of the work we're doing so we can capture them, as well as just having more accessibility to services that are needed, specifically around mental health. I just want to thank you all for everything that was shared. I do see Siobhan mentioned, is there an income requirement? Siobhan, I'm not sure if you're just continuing that conversation in the chat, but feel free to unmute if you do have a question that you want answered.
Yeah, that was for the Fresh Air Fund.
Oh,
I just
okay,
wanted to know
Anthony,
if there
you
was
want
an
to
income
chime in?
restriction. Can anybody's child go, or do I have to fit a certain guideline?
Anthony? I think it's open to all families, but I wanted
He's
Anthony to
muted.
confirm that.
You're
He's
muted,
muted.
Anthony.
Anthony, you're muted.
I'm sorry, everyone. The Pressure Fund programs are available to any child that lives and goes to school in New York City and the family meet our income eligibility guideline. And the reason for that is that we want to maintain the program just for those children, you know, who may not have as many other opportunities. So that's the abbreviated answer. So yes.
What is the
Yes, it is
income?
eligible. An example would be, say, for a family of 4, the family can earn no more than, say, $58,000. That's a rough estimate.
For a single mom with 2 children?
Again, it's based on the number of the people in the household and the income. I can speak with you offline if you'd like me to check it for you. I'll put my information in the chat again.
Okay, thank you. We're going to continue on. So we're going to be wrapping things up for today. Just want to remind you that if you are not already, feel free to follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram. We not only post things going on specifically with the East Flatbush Community Partnership, but we also do share other events and our stories on Instagram. So definitely a great place to get resources about what's going on in Brooklyn in general. We are having our next meeting September 26th. It's supposed to be September 26th. 3 to 5 at Willoughby Street location, 57 Willoughby. And we will also provide opportunity for those of you who can't make it in person to attend virtually. And as usual, I like to just state that our zip codes for our catchment area are 11203, 210, 212, and 226. And if you have families that are out, say for instance, in Mill Basin or areas where there are no partnership nearby, we will definitely still love to assist those families as well. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I just want to say thank you again, everyone who participated in this rich conversation. I'm going to leave the call open for a little bit longer in case you all want to have any follow-up conversation or just connect with each other. So we'll leave the lines open for like another 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone.